Welcome to Nugg Talk.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Nugg Talk, a weekly podcast where we talk about everything going on with your Denver Nuggets and the NBA. I'm here once again with my co-host, Phil. Phil, what's up?
What's up?
Playoffs are here. It's time.
Finally.
They're here. COVID couldn't stop it. Nobody could stop it. Fuck you, we're going to do it.
Exactly, though.
I'm fine. I'm just happy playoffs are back. I'm happy basketball's back. Thank God for the NBA for making this possible because they have the best commissioner in all sports.
It's not even close. I mean, hockey's doing well too, but hockey essentially copied this formula.
Yeah, so good job to Adam Silver and Chris Paul for setting all of this up. But now we can talk about playoffs. We don't really need to talk about our last three games because our last three games were basically washes because we were just trying to get the starters going, and then we would put in third stringers.
Yeah, the fourth quarter, I think Jokic probably played 2 minutes in the fourth quarter of the last three games.
No, he didn't. He only played in the first quarter of today's game against the Raptors. Lakers, they didn't play. But, I mean, good thing from those three games we'll say is the third stringers look great.
They did look great.
We'll give shouts to PJ and Keita Bates-Diop. They both played really well. They look like they can be, parts of this team. Keita Bates maybe not as much, but definitely PJ. PJ shown highlights enough to be a future backup point guard.
PJ is very good.
Yeah,
He's very good.
So we love PJ. We love those. We lost all three of the games, but luckily Houston lost a couple games too, so we ended as a 3 seed. And we're playing Utah, and we'll get to that series. But first, we want to start off this episode by doing our playoff preview. But we're going to start off in the East because that conference is a little bit easier to talk about, and also West is more entertaining. So
exactly.
We will talk about the East playoffs first. We'll talk about the 1-8 seed first, Milwaukee versus Orlando. Phil, how do you think this one's going to go?
Orlando in 4. No, I'm just kidding. It's going to be Milwaukee in 4 or 5, probably. Probably
Orlando
4.
1-4. That would be amazing.
That would be so funny.
But that's not gonna. Yeah, it's not gonna happen. Yeah, this is a wash of a series.
Yeah,
Orlando should have been the 7th seed, like everyone thought they were going to be, and they couldn't even get past Brooklyn, who played really well. They played really hard not having a lot of their guys there in the bubble. But Orlando looks like one of the worst teams down there in the bubble. They're definitely the worst team in the playoffs on both sides of the conferences. And Milwaukee's one of the best, if not the best, depending on your ideas of how Milwaukee is. So we both think 4-0 for Milwaukee.
Yeah.
How do you think Giannis will do in this series? He's coming off a suspension because he headbutted a guy.
That's so funny. I think, he'll probably play well. He's Giannis. He might be kind of cruising, like on cruise control for this series, but I think he'll be good. I mean, we've noticed Giannis plays well in the playoffs, and as history says that Giannis plays well in the playoffs until he plays a really good team.
Yeah, I mean, this will definitely be easy. I feel like all of them will play pretty well. For a lot of the East teams, and I'll probably say this a lot in the first round series, like they get the ability to kind of still get in their groove in the first round. Because this is an easy series for them. They basically can still figure out their chemistry, their playbook, how guys are going to mix with each other, get guys in rhythm, because Eric Bledsoe is coming back from, being absent with coronavirus. He hasn't looked that good in his bubble games and everything along those lines. But, with these 4 games that are basically washes, and even maybe if it goes to 5, I don't see it going past 5, if anything. They can at least maybe get some rhythm for some of those guys who aren't named Giannis. Because let's be honest, whenever Giannis didn't play, they look terrible.
They look horrible.
So hopefully they can. That's what I'm sure Milwaukee fans are hoping for, is that the other guys start showing up in these playoff series since they get this kind of easy round to start with. Milwaukee in 4, if not 5. That's probably from both of us.
Yeah.
Next one, Toronto, the defending champions. They are playing the Brooklyn Nets. At 7. Brooklyn just came off of a very exciting game against Portland. Karis LeVert is amazing. I think he's a great player. Yeah. I don't know why Kyrie doesn't want him.
I saw someone tweet last night on Twitter saying that the dynamic of the Nets next year is going to be really good when their top 2 players are Kevin Durant and Karis LeVert.
Yeah,
I thought it was funny.
He looks great. I don't know why there was a report that came out where it said Kyrie thinks they need to get a third star
they
player.
definitely don't.
That kid's great. That kid fucked us up 2 years ago in Denver.
He can easily rise to be a third star and a contender.
Yeah, he knows how to get buckets, and he plays good defense. I have no clue why Kyrie doesn't like him, but that's another story for another time.
Yeah, that's a whole podcast episode.
But yes, the Nets will be without Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Spencer Dinwiddie, and DeAndre Jordan. They still have Karis LeVert. Also, they won't have Jamal Crawford, who played one game for them and then got hurt. That guy, it was kind of sad.
It is sad.
But they are playing defending champion Toronto Raptors. How do you see this series going?
Raptors 4-0.
Yeah.
I think this is an easier series than Milwaukee because there's no one playing for the Nets except for Karis LeVert.
Yeah, I think the thing with the Raptors is they're just going to target Karis LeVert and make other people try to score. They're a very good defensive team. They run like 20 different types of defenses. So they're going to do the best that they can. Obviously, we have a friend who's a Raptor fan. They have some worries about Pascal Siakam. He hasn't played well in the bubble, but I think that he'll start to figure it out as well.
I'm not too worried about him, but we'll see.
I think it's also going to be a 4-0 series. It should be pretty easy. This is another series where I think an East team gets the benefit of kind of figuring out their team still, even before, like during the playoffs, which would be super nice. I wish we could get that, but we don't get that luxury. But yeah, I think it's definitely 4-0. I don't even think this has a chance of going to 5.
No,
yeah,
I don't either. I think it's more likely Orlando takes one than
I think
Brooklyn.
Orlando could take one because Evan Fournier and DJ Augustin can like sometimes pop off. But if it's just like Karis LeVert, I don't know really anyone else. Garrett Temple's on the Nets. He had a good game, but I don't.
The
think
Raptors are so good defensively.
Yeah, I just don't think it's possible. And then we'll go on to the next series, which was going to be interesting, but injuries kind of ruined it.
Yeah.
It's the 3-6 series between the Celtics and the Sixers. Ben Simmons will be out because he dislocated his kneecap.
He's out like until further notice.
Yeah,
right?
he's done. He's done. He's done for a season. He dislocated his kneecap. He got surgery on his knee. He's done. Joel's still going to play, but he has also had various injuries throughout this bubble. He had an ankle injury. He also got the shit smacked out of his hand during the Raptor game. That was the last game he played. But he will be available. How do you think this series will go? The Celtics were on and off kind of during the bubble.
I'm going to give Philly a game just on the basis that I think Embiid will probably get him 1, but I'm going to say Celtics in 5.
Yeah. I thought this was actually going to be probably one of the more entertaining series.
Oh, yeah, if they were healthy, I think this is going to 7.
Yeah, when Ben was healthy, I was like, this could be a really good series because the Sixers, especially Joel Embiid, gives Celtics a lot of trouble. Historically, Joel Embiid just kills the Celtics. But it's a different type of story, especially when Ben's out. They still have good players. They still have Al Horford, Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid. But I think just the Celtics' young talent and their coaching ability will surpass it. I will say that it'll be Boston in 5 as well. But I could see it be Boston in 6.
I could too.
But I think Boston in 5. But Joel is going to have to carry this team. But I just feel like he's too injury prone at this point that he might even get injured in the series. So
yeah,
it just is what it is. Who do you think will be the MVP of this series? Who will be the best player in this series?
I'm gonna go with Jaylen Brown. I think he's been playing way better than Jason Tatum has in the bubble.
He has. Sure.
Yeah, I'm going with Jaylen Brown. Did we do MVPs for the other two? I guess not technically.
The first one's Giannis. The second one, I'd say probably Kyle Lowry. But
I was gonna say I don't think it's Pascal. I think it's Kyle Lowry.
It'll probably be Kyle Lowry for the Toronto game, Toronto series. For this one, I actually, even though he's going to lose, I'm going to say it's going to be Joel Embiid.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's fair.
I think he's going to average like 30-something.
He's going to be by far the leading scorer because he's going to have to carry them.
Yeah, he's going to have to carry them. He's going to get a lot of touches. They don't have any centers that can guard him. They have Tice and they have Kantner, and neither of those two guys are going to guard him. But how I see the series going is they're going to let him play 1v1 for the first couple games, and then eventually Brad Stevens is going to be like, okay, we're just going to double him and get the other guys to score.
Make someone else beat us.
Yeah, so I still think, though, he'll have a great series. I think he'll be one of the best players out there. Jason, you could say him, but he's been very inconsistent throughout the bubble. He's been kind of on and off. Jalen has been very consistent. I agree with you that Jalen will be the best player on the Celtics because he's a very talented player. Again, I always wanted him, but we got Jamal, and Jamal's doing great, so it's fine. But yeah, I think Celtics in 5. And then we'll move on to the last series, which again was also going to be really exciting, but then injuries. Heat Pacers 4-5 matchup. Jimmy Butler was going to go against TJ Warren, but I don't think TJ Warren's playing anymore.
I'm pretty sure he's hurt. Let me Google.
Because he had plantar fasciitis, but you can play through that because Ty Lawson had that when he was on the Nuggets and he played through it, but I don't think he is trying to play through it. But either way, like, I feel like this series, if he doesn't play, is going to be basically a wash for I think Miami's just going to take over.
Yeah, I don't see anything about him saying he's officially out, but it was reported like this morning, but they haven't said if he's out or not. So let's do predictions on if he's in and if he's out.
Yeah, we'll do both. So if he's in, what do you think will be the outcome of the series?
If he's in, I say Heat in 7.
Yeah.
And then if he's out, I say Heat in 5.
I say if he's in, I'd say Heat in 6. If he's out, I say Heat in 4. Because TJ Warren has been carrying that team. Victor Oladipo's still not in shape and still not the same old Victor Oladipo that he used to be.
Yeah.
And that team's just not as deep as Miami Heat are. The Miami Heat are a very deep team. They're a very young team. They really do remind me of us last year, where they're a very young team. They got some veterans to come in and help. One of their center rose to become an all-star this year. Mm-hmm. It literally is like kind of our thing last year.
Yeah.
And then
Bam's not as good as Jokic.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Bam's not as good as Jokic, but they're gonna win this series pretty easily. There might be a surprise, obviously, if TJ plays, it might go longer. Then they'll go to the second round and then probably lose. But that's, again, we'll get to that. And then I think I said, he's not in Heat in 4. But I like the Heat a lot. I think Jimmy Butler's a great player. He's going to do his best, even if TJ Warren's in, to shut him down. Because when they played, he made sure he didn't score at all in the second half of that game that they played, the first one. But yeah, I think the East first round is going to be a very boring first round. There'll be probably some fun games just because they'll be close, but for the most part,
someone will play well and it'll be competitive, but I think we all know who like the outcomes are going to be probably.
Yeah, it's just a very boring first round. Injuries kind of ruined it, so it's kind of unfortunate for the NBA fans, but it is what it is. The East playoffs are never really that entertaining anyways.
They're never great anyways.
Yeah, so then we'll go to the second round, so the outcome of those. So we have Milwaukee versus the Heat and Toronto versus the Celtics. We'll talk about Milwaukee versus the Heat first. What do you think will happen in that matchup?
I'm going to say...
Just knowing that the Heat haven't lost to Milwaukee this year.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I got you. That's impressive.
I think they only lost if it was in the bubble, but they weren't trying.
I think I'm going to go with Milwaukee in 6 for this. I don't think it's going to be a real competitive 6. I think they're going to go up like 3-1 or something, and then they'll get a game, and then they'll win. I would say... I'm really high on Miami just because they do remind me of us last year. But then again, we also had an easier opponent than they did in the second round. So I think I probably agree with you. I'd say Bucks in 6, but I think it'll be a really competitive 6. Oh, I think Jimmy Butler is going to play well, but
The thing is, I just don't think they have anyone really to stop Giannis. I mean,
Bam will do his best, but that's their best shot, I think.
Bam's going to have to try to stop him when he gets in the paint, and that's going to be the best thing he can do. But I just think they're too young to really surpass this team that's been in the playoffs now for, I think, 4 straight years.
Yeah, and been the first seed 2 years in a row.
Yeah, so they have a lot more experience. Experience is on their side. Granted, Heat have a very experienced head coach in Spoelstra, who was with LeBron and Dwayne Wade in those runs, but it's just different when you have young guys who haven't been there before and felt playoff basketball. We know from experience last year, our young guys got frazzled in that quadruple overtime game. So it happens. And I'm sure it will happen to those guys. But I think this will be a good experience for their players to grow and learn, like Hero and Kendrick Nunn and all of them. But yeah, I'd say them in 6. Who would you say is the MVP?
I think it'll probably be Giannis.
I think it has to be Giannis. I think it just has
If the Bucks lose a playoff series, it's because Giannis wasn't the MVP.
Yeah, if the Bucks lose, it's because Giannis isn't playing well. But Giannis carries this team. He is this team. He's the sole reason this team is good. He's the only reason they get as far as they do. He's the only reason they're the 1 seed. He's this team. So if he doesn't play well, they're going to lose. But I really just don't think this is the team to make him not play well.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the next one, this is actually a very exciting series. I think it will be a very entertaining one. Celtics versus Raptors. I think the Celtics won the season series 2-1, but they didn't get to play their fourth game because obviously coronavirus cut the season short. The last game they played, the Celtics were up 40 at one point in that, but that was in the bubble. So how much weight do you take into it?
Yeah.
What do you think will happen into this series?
I think this is going to be one of the best series in all of the NBA playoffs. I'm going to say Raptors in 7. It's going to be a very close 7.
Yeah.
So I say Raptors in 7, and I'll give the MVP to Pascal this time. I think if they're going to win, Pascal's going to have to play good defense and score.
Yeah. I also agree with you. I think this is going to be one of the most entertaining series in the playoffs. Just also because historically, with the players that they have, since they've been playing each other, usually whoever had the home court won the game, even in any playoff series they had or just playing in regular season. Whoever had home court usually won. It kind of changed this year where they won on each other's, but usually it was if you have home court, you're going to win in this game. There's no home court for either of them.
Home court advantage does not matter.
That idea and philosophy doesn't really work because I know both Celtics and Raptors fans know of that, and they both like that idea, especially if you were a Raptors fan because you would have had home court throughout the series. Mm-hmm. But since it's not there, I think it's going to be a super competitive 7. I think Raptors will also win in 7. I actually think that Fred VanVleet's going to be the MVP of this because I think he's been playing amazingly well in the bubble.
For sure.
He will be on one of those bubble teams, also with MPJ and Dame and Devin Booker and Luka and all those guys. There's going to be 2 of them. There's going to be a lot of guys. But I think that it will definitely be a very competitive series. My thing is just for both of those teams, Pascal's not playing really well for the Raptors right now. Jason Tatum's not playing super well for the Celtics right now. They've both been very inconsistent. Which one of those starts playing better, I think will help decide the series. So if Jason figures his groove out, they will probably win. If Pascal figures it out, they will win. But I think Fred VanVleet he's a baller. He gets buckets. He's going to do that. And I think the fact that he's going to get a lot of minutes because he plays shooting guard and backup point guard basically, especially in the playoffs because they go only 9 deep. I think he's just going to have a very excellent series against the Celtics. But I think that will be the most entertaining one for sure. And it will probably get chippy as well because those teams don't really like each other that much.
Definitely not.
So then from that we both have Milwaukee versus Toronto in the Eastern Conference Finals. A repeat of last year's Eastern Conference Finals, just minus Kawhi and Danny Green for the Raptors, and Malcolm Brogdon for the Bucks. So what do you think will happen in this rematch of last year's Eastern Conference Finals?
So here's the thing. I think the Bucks should win this series. They have the best player, and according to the NBA, they have the best coach.
Yeah.
I disagree with that one, but
at least last year they had the best coach. Yeah. Maybe not this year.
Maybe we'll see about this year. And so I think they should win this game. They have, I think, and Chris Middleton is a good enough number 2 to where Giannis should be able to win this. But they're not going to win this. I don't trust Giannis yet. I don't think the fact that he hasn't really taken over like we've seen the other top players like LeBron and even Kevin Durant and Steph Curry go and take over when things get tough.
Yeah.
I know last year was different because he played against Kawhi, but I think the Raptors match up super well with them, to be honest. I'm going to say Raptors in 6.
Yeah. I think it'll be a very interesting series. There's definitely a lot of differences now because Kawhi's not there because Kawhi was the primary defender on Giannis. But the thing that I took from that series last year and when Giannis came into the season this year, he said he had nightmares basically of the Raptors defense. He practiced all summer thinking about the Raptors defense, thinking about how Ibaka and Marc Gasol clogged the lane for him and stuff like this. And that's why he tried to improve his jump shot and his free throws and all of that. But the thing is, to me, I think both of those teams are very evenly matched. I think Toronto wins in depth, which helps make up for the fact that Giannis is Giannis because the Milwaukee Bucks don't have as much depth as the Raptors do. But at the same time, Giannis is a top 5 player in the league. He's probably going to win MVP. Most likely he's going to win MVP. So it kind of it all falls down on Giannis. How does Giannis play? Does he?
Yeah, it always does.
Does he ball out? Does he start making shots? If he makes shots, they win the series.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he'll make shots. I haven't seen it this year.
I haven't seen it in his whole career.
I can't see him make threes because they're gonna force him to shoot threes, and if he doesn't shoot a three, they're just gonna clog up the lane like they did last year and have 4 people down there and let his other teammates, not named Kyle Korver, shoot the ball, and Chris Middleton, not let those guys shoot it. And I think that's the downfall of the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, I think it'll be a close series. I'm saying it's going to go to 7 again. It's going to be Raptors in 7. But I think if Giannis can't learn how to shoot threes or make his free throws, that's going to hurt the team immensely, and they'll probably lose because of that factor. I still think he will be the MVP of the series.
Yeah, he'll be the best player on the court for sure. Yeah, but I just think until Giannis learns to shoot threes, he's never going to break through. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing with early LeBron years.
Yeah, exactly. But now it's time now. You know?
Yeah, I mean he knows it. Like that's what he said coming into the season, and he did try shooting more threes throughout the season. It's just his percentage isn't good yet. I think the bigger issue is he can't make free throws. He goes to the line, it's the second most in the NBA, only behind James Harden, but he only makes like 68-ish, 70%.
That's horrible. A superstar can't miss free throws like that.
And it's just like, if you're going to line that much, you got to make, he could be averaging like near 40 points if he just made his goddamn free throws more consistently.
Seriously.
And I think that's a bigger issue for him, and I don't get why he didn't work on that more. But that's the thing. I think whenever he goes in the paint, they're just going to foul him and make him make free throws. And then if he doesn't go in the paint, they're going to dare him to shoot. And I think that will be the downfall of the Bucks. Now, granted, then if they lose, it'll lead to, is Giannis going to sign the extension this summer? And then if he doesn't, then we got a Giannis decision type year.
Like Giannis sweepstakes.
Yeah, so that could lead into it. But I definitely do think the Raptors are poised this year. They have the second best defense behind the Bucks, but they play different styles of defense compared to the Bucks, where the Bucks just play man on man. They also have the championship pedigree, where the Bucks don't, because they haven't won a title yet. And I think just overall talent is more on the Raptors side. I think obviously they have the more talented player on the Bucks side, but I think overall the Raptors team is better than the Milwaukee team. So I just think Raptors in 7, but I could see the Bucks win this. That's just how I would say.
That's fair.
So yeah, I think we both say Raptors are going to make the finals this year, repeat, and make it to the finals. And now we'll get to the Western Conference playoffs. First, we have to talk about the play-in game. The Trailblazers made it to the playoffs because they won that game against the Nets. Even though Phoenix won 8-0, they sadly did not make the playoffs, which is really dumb and stupid, and it's because Milwaukee is dumb and they didn't beat the Grizzlies.
Yep.
So the Grizzlies are in for no reason, and they're going to play a play-in game against the Blazers. If the Blazers just win one of these two, they're in. I think the Blazers are going to win the first one.
Yeah, I do too.
So yeah, we both just think it's going to be the Blazers. We're going to just go, it's going to be Lakers-Blazers in the 1-8 matchup. What do you think is going to happen in the 1-8 matchup?
Okay, so many people think the Blazers have a shot to beat the Lakers, and I'm saying it right now.
Charles Barkley thinks they have a shot.
Well, yeah, but I just see it talked about a lot, but that's not happening. Yeah. I honestly think it's going to be Lakers. I'll give Dame a game because he's been popping off. I would say Lakers in 5.
Yeah, I mean, Charles Barkley thinks the Blazers are going to go to the finals, which is the most outrageous statement he's ever made, and he's made some outrageous statements. But that's his job. He literally just does outrageous statements. I know he just does that to get game publicity for the show and ratings and all that stuff. He knows what he's doing for a job. But I love Damian Lillard. I don't like the Portland Trailblazers, but I love Damian Lillard. But I just think you're not going to beat AD and LeBron. I know they're not playing well. They were probably one of the worst. The Lakers were probably one of the worst teams in the bubble throughout these 8 games. I think they went 2-6, and if not 3-5. So they were really bad.
Yeah.
But I just think LeBron's never lost a first round series.
Yeah.
He's not going to now.
No way.
I see this going one of 2 ways. Either they sweep them, it's going to be 4-0, and then LeBron will make a comment where he says, "Oh, I thought we were playing bad. Well, you guys kept saying we suck." He's either going to do that, or the second thing is they're going to win like the first game, lose the second game, and then he's going to talk about how they need to figure their shit out, and then they'll figure their shit out and win in 5.
Yeah.
It's going to go one of those 2 ways.
Probably, yeah. I see that happened with the Cavs like every year.
It's the same storyline, just a different team and a different jersey. It's the same thing. Every year in any of his old Cavs teams, they always struggle going into the playoffs, and then he figured it out and he made it happen. And I think the same thing's going to happen here. So I think they win in 4 or 5, most likely 5. I agree with you. I think Damian Lillard's too good not to win a game. He's one of the top 5 players in the league right now. I wouldn't say overall, but now
he's playing like it. Yeah,
he's insane. He had a 40-point game, 50-point game, and 60-point game in the bubble. That's just crazy. So we both say Lakers in 5 for that one. I think it'll be fun to watch, but I don't think it's gonna be.
I'm sure Dame will average like 30 plus in the series.
Yeah,
but
and then MVP, who would you say is MVP of this?
I'm actually gonna think it's probably Anthony Davis, to be honest.
It probably will be Anthony Davis. I agree with you too. I think it's also gonna be Anthony Davis because is Carmelo gonna guard Anthony Davis?
Yeah,
is Yusuf gonna guard Anthony Davis?
LeBron is gonna be like MVP.
LeBron's just going to play point guard and get buckets when he needs to.
Exactly. He doesn't have to worry about it yet.
Yeah, it's not like it's a serious. He knows what. I can tell you right now, LeBron's going to make sure to get his guys going and get them feeling good for the second round matchup that they have, because LeBron's not worried about this, because if they did start losing, that's when he would start popping off. But I don't think they will. So I agree with you. I think AD is just going to pop off, because I can't imagine Carmelo Anthony guarding him, and Carmelo starts at 4.
Nobody can guard Anthony Davis on the Blazers.
Or Zach Collins starts at 4. Even Zach
doesn't
Collins
matter. Nobody on the Blazers can guard him.
Yeah, so I think Anthony Davis will definitely be MVP of that series. And then 2-7. A lot of people think this is going to be a fun one. Clippers, Mavericks, 2-7. What do you think will happen in this one?
You go first this time.
I don't think this is going to be a good series. I don't know why everyone thinks this is going to be a good series. I think this is a wash. I am saying Clippers in 4. They're going to sweep them. Kawhi Leonard's going to be the MVP of the series. They're going to shut down Luka. They have 3 guys who can switch on to Luka and play good defense. They're going to shut him down, and then Porzingis is their only hope, and he's been playing good, but that's it. I think this is going to be a wash. I don't know why everyone thinks this is going to be an entertaining series.
I'm pretty much with you. I don't think it's going to be a close series at all. I think the Clippers are going to dominate. I am going to give the Mavericks a game. Probably unlikely, but
I mean, you can give him a game. I know Luka's good.
I think we'll give him. I think I'm going to trust in some Luka magic, and he's going to get 1 game off the Clippers, but that's it. And it's not going to be, again, it's going to be like with the other series. It's going to be like a 3-0. Oh, they won 1. All right, 4-1.
Yeah. Like, I just don't. A lot of people are like, oh, this could go to 6. I'm like, how the fuck is this going to go to 6?
There's no chance.
I don't get it. I think the Mavericks are a good team. I still think they're a couple years away. Just like, they're just not there. Okay, we'll talk about ours last. We'll always talk about ours last. We're not going to talk about ours. Next one, 4 or 5. This was also going to be an entertaining series, but we don't know Russell Westbrook's health. He has a strained quad. It's reported he's going to miss at least the first couple of games, maybe more. No one really knows. Strained quad is one of those injuries where it's like, it's up to the player to tell the coaching staff when he can play and when he feels good, because you can't really just be like, yeah, it's okay now. Like,
exactly. It has to be how it feels.
Yeah, so he could come back probably around game 3. He could never be in the series, depending on how long it goes. What do you think will happen in this series against Houston and OKC?
This is a tough one for me to pick, honestly, but I'm going to go with OKC in 7.
And is that with Russ playing, or you think he comes back at all, or no?
Either.
Yeah.
Okay. I think this is going to 7 either way. I think the Rockets are going to have so many issues with Steven Adams. I know that that's a running joke, but PJ Tucker is so small, and Steven Adams is a big man.
Yes, and he's a very aggressive man.
Exactly. He's a physical player.
He's been voted that the past 5 years.
But exactly, and but in saying that, I'm going to say James Harden's going to be the MVP of this series. But I say Thunder in 7.
Yeah. I think this is an entertaining series. Even though Russ is out, I think it would have been obviously way more entertaining with Russ. Who knows? Maybe he does come back at some point in it. I wouldn't be shocked if he comes back around game 5-ish. But I think it's just entertaining in the fact that it is CP3 versus Harden, ex-teammates, who everyone knows they didn't end on very good terms.
No.
They do not like each other, even though they'll do it just for face when they talk and high five, just non-game, but they don't like each other. There's no way they do. And I think it will be still a pretty good series, but I think OKC is just a better team. I think they have a better leader in CP3. I think they're just all around more rounded. Now the question is for them, Schroeder's back, but when can Schroeder play? Because he needs to pass quarantine and all of those. I don't think he'll be ready for the first game, but eventually he will be. And he was also with Montrez and Lou Will considered a 6-man candidate. He probably won't get it, even though he deserves it. because he actually is playing 6-man minutes instead of starter minutes, but that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
But I think it will be a very entertaining series. I'm still going to give it to OKC in 6. I think I don't believe in Harden in the playoffs. I don't believe in Westbrook in the playoffs. They're both historically known to choke in the playoffs.
Yep.
And I think CP3 is the most clutch player in the playoffs, other than, let's say, like LeBron and some of those guys, upper echelon guys. He's also super experienced, and he's going to lead this team that hasn't been to the playoffs, even though some of their players have been. Gallo has been, Steven Adams has been, but Shea and those guys are going to have to kind of figure it out. But I think they're just going to win. I think they'll win in 6. I think it'll be an entertaining series, and I'm with you. I still think the MVP is going to be Harden, just because Harden gets buckets. He's not going to not get buckets. Like, I know CP3 is going to guard him and try to do his best job on him, but he's still going to score buckets. It's Harden. He'll get to the free throw line. He'll hit step back threes.
Do you think Paul's going to guard him, or do you think Roberson's going to guard him?
Roberson doesn't play that much. I don't think Roberson's going to play.
Yeah, I wasn't really paying attention to if he played at all.
Maybe
I just know he's
back now, which is good for him. He had a lot of injury issues. Sco buffs. He is a buff. He played power forward for CU, and now he's a shooting guard. Makes no sense. Yep. Yeah, I mean, if they needed like a stop, I'm sure they'll sub in Roberson.
Yeah.
But I don't think he'll play like consistent minutes because he still can't shoot. So
yeah, it's true.
I think CP3 will probably be on him because CP3 is the best defender on the Thunder, and he knows Harden the best out of anybody on that team because he played with Harden. And I think that's also an advantage OKC has. CP3 knows what they want to do.
Yeah.
Like he was
basically a similar team.
Yeah, he was on that team last year. It's not like they're running a different playbook.
I can't believe they traded Clint Capella.
Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking.
He's
Analytics,
so
man.
good.
I don't get
crazy.
it. They think analytics tells them that you need to be small ball. We'll see. They finally get the chance to prove it. If they win and they start doing well, then fuck, we were all wrong.
I guess, but
I still don't get it because Clint Capella fucked us up, and I'm glad he's gone.
Me too.
But I feel bad for Clint Capella, if anything, because he's probably like, what the fuck? But they don't even have a backup center. I don't think they even have a backup. Like, they really just run straight small.
I think they do, but
it's
I don't
Nene,
think...
if anything, I think.
They have some European dude. He's a rookie, though. He's the only pure center they have, and he's only like 6'10".
Yeah, and they're not even going to run him. So
Yeah,
I think it's going to be interesting to see how that small ball lineup works for sure. But I still think OKC. So I said OKC and you said OKC?
Yeah, just different games.
Yeah.
We have like the exact same predictions except for the games so far.
Yeah, games are just different. I mean, most of it got... The first round's kind of fucky.
It's hard.
Because of injuries, and then East is kind of predictable.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be pretty predictable. It's going to be those 4 teams, at least in the second round.
For sure. And I would bet it'll probably be Raptors Bucks in the conference finals.
Yeah, so it's most likely going to be those guys. And then lastly, our series, 3-6 matchup, Denver versus Utah, rival teams. We hate each other. They hate us. We hate them. No one likes each other on these teams. Everyone hates each other. We had a very thrilling game in the bubble that went to double overtime. We had the great 7-man game where we beat their ass with only 7 people.
Nuggets are 3-0 against them this year.
Yeah, we sweep them this year. How do you think this is going to go? Granted, knowing we still don't know if Gary or Will are going to play on Monday.
Yep, that's why I'm going to say this. I'm going to say Nuggets in 6. This is assuming that they don't play. I think we are...
The whole series?
Yeah. This is assuming that... Sorry. This is assuming that they do play.
They do play. Okay, I was like, you said don't. I was like, whoa.
I think if they're back, we could win this in 5. I really do. But I'm gonna say 6. I'm gonna respect Donovan Mitchell. I think even though despite Rudy Gobert's defense, Jokic is better, and he has popped off against Rudy Gobert in the past.
Yep.
I think Jamal Murray is starting to show us something.
He's been consistently good in the bubble, which is surprising.
And then we have our wild card, and we all know who that is. It's Michael Porter Jr.
And he's starting.
And he's
going to
confirmed.
He's the starter now forever.
It's never going away. Thank God. I remember we were talking about this before the season started. Like, I bet he doesn't start till next season. Now coronavirus happens, and now he's
technically it is kind of like I guess it is technically next season. If you count like the time frame.
Yeah, that's true. It's already August.
It's like with the time frame we thought of. It just kind of helped that now it's the playoffs.
Yeah. And I don't think, I could be wrong, but they don't have Bogdan, and I don't think they have many people who can really match up well against MPJ as far as guarding him goes. Obviously, Rudy Gobert plays defense for that team. They're going to target him.
That's the one thing I know for a fact.
They're going to target him on defense. They're going to switch him onto Donovan.
They're going to do the same thing teams did with Jamal last year, where they targeted him on defense. They're going to switch it now to MPJ. I think he's not a better defender, but I think he can handle it better because
I think his defensive IQ is improved, but he's still just not good.
Yeah.
I will say this: if MPJ plays like he played in the bubble, averaging 23 points a game, we win in 4 or 5. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think
he'll have growing pains.
Yeah. Playoff basketball is different, but yeah. So I'm going to stick to Nuggets in 6. Nikola Jokic MVP.
Yeah. I'm going to go with. I don't think Gary and Will are going to play in the first one, but I think they're going to play after that.
First round?
No, in the first game.
Oh, okay.
I don't think they're going to play in the first game, but after that, I think they're going to be in. I think we will win in 6 as well. I agree with you. I think it would just be in 6 because you have to give respect. They have Donovan Mitchell. They have Rudy Gobert. Also, we're most likely going to be hurt for a game, maybe 2 games.
Who knows?
They were supposed to come back against the Raptors, and they didn't.
They never tell, and they haven't really given us any updates.
The time frames are always wrong, or they're not correct, or
they just don't give us
change.
One.
I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
But I think 2 blessings have happened for us because of the injuries. One is obviously MPJ, his immersion. The other is the fact that Will Barton's now going to be coming off the bench, and that's a huge plus for us.
Oh yeah.
Because if you think about it, Will Barton is a starter coming off the bench. Will Barton next year has the capability of being a 6th Man of the Year candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Not this year, obviously, because it's over. But next year, when he's coming off the bench and he's the 6th man, he's going to be in that conversation. I
absolutely.
Guarantee you he will be in the 6th Man of the Year
That is what I've wanted for Will Barton since we traded for him.
Yeah,
is him to be the 6th man.
It was just MPJ wasn't ready yet, but now he is, and now I think that will help out. And when Will comes back, that's going to help us out even more. And then the other thing is when Gary comes back, Gary is known to shut down Donovan Mitchell. They played a game in Denver, and Donovan scored 0 points, and he was named an All-Star that day.
Yeah, he scored 0 points.
He scored 2 points at the very end.
They were free throws, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and he shut him down. I know Gary can shut him down. It's just, will he be playing?
If we have Gary Harris back, this is going to be tough for them.
Because Gary and Torrey know how to guard Donovan Mitchell, and it's a tough job for Donovan Mitchell to go from Gary and then all of a sudden Torrey's on you. It's a lot.
Oh man, our rotation is going to be so deep with Will off the bench.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be different now. It's a different type of thing. And then if Jokic and Jamal still been playing like they've been playing, because they've both been playing exceptionally well, I think they'll be great. I agree with you. I think MPJ will take a little bit of a step back, but that's expected. It's his first playoff. And they're going to target him on offense as well. They'll double him. They'll try to frazzle him up a little bit. They know what the kid can do now. There's enough tape on him now where they're like, okay, we know what he's good at. We know what he's bad at. Let's make him do the stuff he's bad at and see if he can react well to it.
Exactly, yeah.
And he's probably not going to react well to it at first, but he'll get used to it as it goes on.
Yeah, he's a competitor. That's kind of something I have started to see from him now that he's actually getting minutes. Yeah. Let's be honest, he was pouting.
Yeah, he was pouting a lot. He was like, why am I not starting?
But now he's starting, and he deserves to start. I think he's gonna bounce back well from the first game or two, and maybe even be a reason why we win one of these.
I think like Jamal started off really bad in the first series against the Spurs, and then he had that game too where he popped off, but then after that he started becoming consistently good, and I think the same thing will happen with MPJ where he'll start figuring it out as it goes.
Yeah.
But I would say MVP for this is Jokic. I don't think it can't be Jokic. It has to be.
He's probably gonna. I mean, Jokic was amazing in the playoffs last year. He's probably gonna dominate again.
Yeah, he had one of the best first runs in the playoffs of all time with LeBron, Oscar Robinson, all of these Hall of Famers. And I don't think him being skinnier is going to make him not do that even better this time.
Yeah, exactly.
I think he could definitely average a triple-double in the series, but I think he won't because MPJ is going to steal rebounds.
Exactly. Yep.
So
MPJ is long. So.
Yeah. And then we also forgot about another shining star in this bubble. Jeremy Grant's been amazing.
Yes.
And the fact he's coming off the bench again.
Our bench just got two. We have 2 6th men on our bench.
Yeah, and that made it even better. Jeremy's going to start next year, but him coming off the bench now, it's insane. It makes it even better. So I just think we're too talented for this team. I think them not having Bogdan really hurts. I think them only having 2 real viable players off of the bench and Jordan Clarkson and Emmanuel Mudiay is not enough to keep up with our bench.
No way.
That's it. And then they have other guys who are kind of scrubs who are playing. So
this should not be it will be competitive in the games, but as far as the games go, it should not be competitive.
We should win this in 6. If it goes to 7, I'll be kind of upset.
Me too.
And then we'll go to our second round. So now we'll do the 1-4 matchup. We both had Lakers. I should just say LeBron. LeBron versus OKC. What do you think will happen in Lakers versus OKC? This is an interesting series. It's different.
It is. It is. It's not a matchup I really thought up.
It'll be the first time LeBron's ever played Chris Paul in the finals. In the playoffs. So,
this is a tough one. I mean, I think the Lakers are going to win the series. But it's just tough. I'm going to say, fuck it. I'm going to say Lakers in 6. I think Chris Paul. I've gained a lot of respect for Chris Paul this season. I was not someone who liked Chris Paul for most of his career, especially when he was on the Clippers. Chris Paul, he's a professional. He is
great, man.
He's
great leader.
He's
he runs NBA PA.
Fantastic leader. He is the floor general. Maybe LeBron is, but
he's the point guard.
He's
like literally
the point guard. He is the point guard, and I have a lot of respect for him, and that's why I'm willing to give him 2 games. And I also think Shea. We haven't talked about Shea really.
Yeah, Shea's
I
really
think
good.
Shea is a great player too. And
Shea and Jamal are 2 best Canadians right now. So
yeah, definitely. I'll say Lakers in 6. MVP is LeBron this time because they're gonna win game 5 or whatever. And LeBron's gonna be like, okay.
I think it will be Lakers in 7.
Wow.
I think this will be a lot more competitive than people think because I think a lot of people still underrate OKC, and I don't know why. They're a very good team. They are very talented throughout. This is again a matchup where it's kind of like the Raptors one, where the Raptors are a more talented team. I think OKC is a more talented team overall, but I think LeBron is not like Giannis, where LeBron can take over games. We've seen it multiple times throughout his career, and I think LeBron is going to have to take over games in this series to win. He's going to literally have to will them to win the series, which will probably shock a lot of people. But I think OKC is going to shock a lot of people, and they're going to compete very well with the Lakers. And I think they're going to have to try as hard as they can to win that series, and harder than they probably want to win that series. But I think LeBron will be the MVP because he'll probably have a 40-point double-double game or maybe 2 of those, but he'll play really well. But I think it will be a very competitive series. I think a lot of people should be excited about a Laker OKC series because the matchups are just really good all around the board. And Steven Adams is probably the one person who can frustrate Anthony Davis.
Yep,
because
absolutely.
He's a big body and he can get in front of him and
he's a good defender.
He's a good defender and he can score too. So he's going to make Anthony Davis work. And the fact that they have so much talent, they're gonna have to switch a lot on defense. The Lakers are gonna have to, and I think it's just gonna be a lot closer of a series than people think. But I still think Lakers will win because of talent,
for sure,
and experience. LeBron has the most experience of anybody in any of these playoffs. So, and then the next matchup is a matchup we always knew was coming. We always talked about it. It's the matchup I didn't want. I mean, either way, I didn't want to play an LA team.
Yeah.
But I'm playing the Clippers, 2-3. What do you think is going to happen with this? I don't actually know the season series. I think we beat them once and they beat us twice.
Yeah, they beat us in the bubble. So it was basically even if we're going to not include bubble.
Yeah, so I think, it's like...
So we could have won that game. We could have won the game against the Lakers, too.
Yeah, we could have won that game. So they might have beat us 3 times, but it could have been tied.
Either way.
But what do you think about this? When we did play them in the bubble, with their starters, we played pretty well.
We competed very well. I think we're going to compete in this series too. It pains me to say it, but I don't think we're going to win the series. I just think this is just one of those things. It's just to be the best, you have to beat the best, and we're not ready to be the best, you know? And so I'm going to say Clippers in 7, but I really do think that this team's going to show us even more. They showed us something last year, and I think this year is going to be something else. I think, I don't want to get this far ahead of myself because this is a different comparison, and I don't want to disrespect this team, but this gives me Warriors vibes. They win their first round series. Granted, they upset us, but then they lost to the Kings, which are the Spurs.
Yeah,
and we're losing to probably the first or second best team in the NBA.
Yeah.
And so I think we're going to compete with this team, and I genuinely think we are the 4th or 5th best team in the league, and I think we're going to cement that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to say Clippers in 7, but I think it's going to be a really competitive series.
Yeah. I think we will also lose. It's sad, but I just don't think we're ready yet. I agree with you. I mean, we're a young team. Our best player is 25.
Yeah.
Our second best player is 23, and our third best player is 21. They're very young. All right, they're not ready for this yet, especially against a guy like Kawhi who has a ton of playoff experience.
2 rings.
Yeah, 2 rings, 2 Finals MVPs. PG, who also, even though he hasn't been super successful in never winning a championship, he still has gone very far in the playoffs multiple times. He has experience. And overall, that team in general has a lot of experience. Their coach has a ton of experience. I think they're just more ready for the moment. I think it's still going to be a very competitive series, but I think we'll lose in 6. I think we'll lose in one earlier game than you do. And I just think there's multiple factors into that. One is Kawhi guards MPJ, and MPJ is going to be a non-factor because of that. He'll get buckets, but he won't get a lot of buckets.
No, yeah.
And then the other thing is Montrez does give Jokic problems. That is a thing, and he will be playing at this point, and he'll probably be in basketball shape in this point. He'll be in rhythm, and he does give Jokic problems. Granted, we haven't seen skinny Jokic on Montrez yet, but he does. And the third issue is Mason Plumlee's on our team.
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
And
they're gonna hack him.
They're gonna not even hack him. They're just when he comes in, it's gonna be 4v5 on offense. It's gonna be 4 of us versus 5 of them because he's a non-offensive threat. They're not gonna really worry about him. And if we give him the ball, I promise you he will get blocked a lot because they have a lot of shot blockers and Kawhi and Montrez and Zubac, and it's not good. They're a very good defensive team, and also our defense has been bad. But I think we'll be competitive. I think the games will be close, except for maybe like one of them. We'll probably get blown out in one of them. But I think they'll be close. Probably, I bet you game 1 of that series, we get blown out.
Yeah.
Just because they'll be more ready and stuff like that. But I think after that, they'll be close. And then we'll lose in 6. But I think it will be a very good growing experience for his team to learn what defense actually means.
Yeah.
And finally, officially commit to it. I mean, we've been a better defensive team ever since Paul got here. But I think after this, and they see, what kind of defense means, because they'll see, one of the best defenses in the league with, 3 of the best defensive players in the league. They will realize, okay, we got the offensive side figured out. We all need to commit on defense. And I think they'll come back next year. So I think it will be a good growing experience for them. But I just think we'll lose.
Yeah, I just don't see it.
It's a tough series.
If we win, then wow.
If we win, I will go buy 10 bottles of champagne, pop all of them, and just get hammered. And
I would be thrilled. That would be like winning the finals for me. So
yeah, so that would be above expectations. But all I had expectations for this team was to get to the 2nd seed and compete. And if they do that, I'll be happy. I don't want to get blown out in any of this. I don't want to get 4-0'd or 5-1'd. I want it to be at least a little bit competitive. But I just think everyone should have realistic expectations of that series.
Yeah.
And then Western Conference Finals, Lakers, Clippers, the ones that everyone knew was going to happen since the summer when they all signed their deals. This will be a very entertaining series. This is probably the finals in all honesty.
Yeah, it is.
What do you think will happen in the battle of the LA teams?
Dude, I do not know.
It's basically like a coin toss.
It really is, because I would say, LeBron is the best player in that series, but they have the LeBron stopper.
Yeah, they have
Anthony Davis is the difference in that series, but also Montrezl Harrell is a pretty good defender, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think he starts, but
no, he comes off the bench. He will come off the bench, but he plays 30 minutes.
He basically starts. Yeah, he's. It's a tough series to pick. I'm gonna go Lakers in 7 because of Anthony Davis. I think LeBron is gonna be LeBron, but Kawhi is gonna be Kawhi, and I think it's gonna kind of wash it out. I think Anthony Davis is going to outplay Paul George in this series, and they're gonna go to the finals. And I said in 7, and I'm gonna say Anthony Davis will be the MVP of this.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it will be Lakers in 7. I'll still say MVP is going to be LeBron.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So. But I think it could be a coin toss. I can very much see the Clippers win this. It's not like I'm going to be completely dismissing the Clippers.
No
they
way.
have talent. But to me, Anthony Davis has shown he's very good in the playoffs. Granted, he's never got that far yet, so who knows where he'll be mindset-wise. LeBron, obviously, we know. Kawhi, we know, is very good in the playoffs. Paul George is iffy.
He is iffy.
Sometimes he's really good. Sometimes he's terrible.
Really bad.
Really, really bad. And I think that could probably be the difference maker, where the second fiddle for the Lakers is better than the second fiddle for the Clippers. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the difference maker.
The second fiddle for the Lakers would be the first fiddle on pretty much every
other team. Yeah. And then you could say the same with Paul George, but if you put those two on a team, Anthony Davis is first fiddle.
Exactly.
So I just think that's the difference. But I could see it go the other way because, granted, the Lakers bench is terrible.
It's horrendous.
But at that point, they should have Rondo back, which does help a little bit. It doesn't help a ton, but it does give the ability for LeBron when he goes out to rest, because he knows there's someone who can run the offense now, and it's not Caruso playing backup point guard.
Yeah.
So it will help them a little bit. But I just think that, but I could see Clippers. So either way, it's one of those two. And then finals, I think either way, whoever comes out of that series, we're both saying is winning.
Yeah.
So, and then we'll say Lakers, Raptors. What do you think will happen in that?
I'm going to say Lakers in 5.
I'll say Lakers in 6. I'll be nice. I'll say Lakers in 6. I think
this is where you're going to see 100% LeBron in all the games.
Yeah, I mean, if he makes it a final or Kawhi makes it a final, they just go insane. They go over 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it'll be a wash. The finals will be a wash, unfortunately. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
It'll be entertaining.
But they said that last year, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, but we'll see how it goes. But I think, so we both have either of the LA teams winning. We both say Lakers, but we could see Clippers. And we have the Nuggets going to the second round. But either way, it'll be exciting playoffs, at least, especially for us. I think we have good matchups.
It'll be fun to watch. It will be really stressful, but hopefully we show some stuff.
Yeah, so our schedule is we basically play Monday, and then after that, every other day. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The games are usually, at least the first 4 games are kind of early in the morning, which kind of sucks for Phil because he works.
I work. I'm going to have to miss at least one of them, probably 2.
And then after that, who knows what happens with the games going past that point. But we'll probably come back in the end of the series, to be honest. Because I don't think we can do a weekly podcast because the games are just so back to back. It's kind of be hard.
You mean end of the playoffs or end of the series?
End of the series. End of the Utah series. We'll do another episode because we can't really just.
Yeah, and I don't want to commentate on something if we go down 2-0 and then come back and win. Or something like that.
We'll do it at the end of the series. That's when the next podcast will come out. And usually when the series ends, most of the other series will be over too, unless we just sweep.
Yeah.
Which would be cool. But so we'll come back at the end of the series and start doing the podcast then. So just be on the lookout for that. But otherwise, it's playoffs time. We don't have a slogan this year. So I guess elevate.
Elevate.
Again. Or COVID-19. I don't know. But yeah, it'll be fun. Do you have anything else you want to add before we sign off?
No.
Let's just all have fun. That's all I want to say. Just enjoy this time.
I mean, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to love it a lot, but I really don't want to lose to the fucking Jazz.
If we lose to the Jazz, we might not do an episode for a long time.
Yeah, that is actually if the Nuggets lose to the Jazz, don't expect an episode for months.
It'll be a while before we do an episode if we lose to them. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this playoff preview episode. Again, you can find the podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and you make sure to leave a like, leave a comment, what you think will go on in the playoffs. Tell us, your opinion. Share a podcast with a friend, and yeah, we'll talk to you guys after the end of our first round series.
Go Nuggets!